So I was about 19 years old, and I was getting ready for the team nationals in Pittsburgh, and I ended up taking diuretics, which Ed Connors specifically told me not to take. This guy's like, hey man, he's like, you should try this Lasix. Okay, so I'm like, Lasix? Well, okay, I've never heard of that. He's like, yeah, you just shoot it intravenously and, you'll start to get rid of the fluid and you'll look real dry. I take the Lasix. I remember that day I probably drank like a bottle, like, a little, 28, 30 ounce bottle of water, and I was sipping on it all day. Probably had almost all of it down. And the night that I took the Lasix, I was pissing like 6 bottles worth up every hour. And I was like, something's wrong. Morning of the show, I get up and I'm hitting, some poses in the mirror and everything's cramping. Like, oh shit. So then I'm like, okay, this isn't good. I don't really want to tell anybody anything because I wasn't supposed to take the Lasix and it's going to ruin everything. So I'm sitting in the lobby and, I got my family around and Ed Connors comes up. He's like, how you feeling, And I'm looking at him and he's like moving around in my head and like everyone's trying to sound like robots, they're like, I'm like, holy shit.